Good evening. Welcome to H&D Abroad. I am Herman, and I'm happy to have you all with us today. For those who don't know us, here at H&D Abroad, my wife and I, Dee, we share our journey to move abroad. We share it through our ongoing experiences, looking for the place that is right for us through scouting trips, as well as discussing those parts of our life that we're trying to expand. So better health and improving our generational wealth for our young people and building a great community, which is you. You all have been an amazing community in which we have learned a lot about this process and are honored to be able to share that back, the information that we have with this community. If that sounds interesting to you, if you want to learn about couples, Black couples doing their thing, trying to learn to improve their status in the world and be a part of the global, be global citizens, we ask you to first like this video. We know you haven't seen it. We know we haven't gotten anywhere yet, but trust me, it's important. So like this video. Then we ask you, most importantly, to subscribe to our channel, because without you, we don't exist. And hit the notification bell so every time we go live, you can be available to watch us. We go live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. I do a few Man Mondays, which you are now viewing with us tonight, a few times a month. And my wife, Dee, does some women's health spotlights on Thursday nights. So we are not going to waste time today. First, let me say hello to the people in the chat, because this is always a conversation. It's not just me talking. It's not just me and Dee talking. This is just not me and us and our guests talking. This is an ongoing conversation with you in the chat as well as in the comment section. So if you're watching us later, please hit hashtag replay in the comment section. Leave comments for us, because we do respond to all the comments. So I want to say hello to Kevin, Melanin Man Travels. Good to see you, Kevin. You all subscribe to his channel. Way to go with that. Hey, Temple, this is our friend Temple. This is my support sister here. Y'all please subscribe to Temple's channel. She got several channels. Y'all subscribe to all that stuff. Homemade, good to see you. Oh, thank you. I try. I want you to be impressed, and you'll be more impressed when you see our guest today, who I'm bringing on. My brother in twinship, Big Dave, and good to see you, my friend.
Good to be here.
Dave was just with us here this past weekend, he and his lovely wife, Nikki, and they gave us the down low on their move to Mazatlan, Mexico, and all of the vast experiences they have had. They gave us the great story of their love pet, Minty, and you'll probably hear Minty in the background giving her shout outs sometime in the service.
Yeah, definitely.
But for those of you who haven't seen that, it is in the description for this video, as well as other conversations we've had with David and Nikki. David, take a minute, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your channel, and then we'll kind of jump into where we're discussing today.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm David Anderson. I have the channel with my wife. It's a Wonderful Travel Life with Nikki and David that tells the story of our search for a new home and the fun we have had auditioning places to land and how we got to where we are today. So check us out. It's a Wonderful Life with Nikki and David. Okay, YouTube.
On YouTube and Instagram.
On the Instagrams, yes.
Yeah. You can tell we're not the people in charge of all the stuff, man.
I'm showing my age. Yeah, you know the women do the tech stuff.
Hey, and no shame here. All right, so to kind of get those of you who are not familiar with David's story, a little background, we'll do a little Q&A conversation that'll kind of get you up to date. So just within the past few months, you have permanently moved the whole family to Mazatlan. Is that correct?
Yes,
And
correct.
that includes who?
That includes my wife, Nikki, our youngest daughter, Gianna,
Okay.
and Minty, our fur baby.
And into your fur baby, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, and you made the decision to move to Mazatlan. I know when we spoke, I don't know if I guess it was earlier this year, in the last year, we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
You all were in the process of moving to Spain. So
Yes.
tell us, what was the change from Spain to Mazatlan?
Well, we spent maybe a week and a half in Spain, looked around at some places and looked at the school programs they had over there. Did all the logistics on shipping everything by a freighter to get everything, the cost of moving our furniture and our pets. And we had intended on taking 2 pets at that time. We did all that. And when we came back, when we got back to the States, we got a call from a school institution that's based in Alberta, Canada, and they had a position in their school in Mazatlan for an English teacher, and they wanted to interview Nikki. This came through on a Saturday, and by Monday she had the job. So, so we had to shift gears now.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had to shift. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we had to shift gears from, I think we were looking at, where was that? That was Malaga, I believe. We were, Murcia, Spain is where we were looking to land. So we had to shift gears from shipping everything there and getting our house sold and getting out of the house we were leasing, because she was teaching at Champaign, University of Illinois in Champaign at the time. So selling getting out of release, clearing that house and selling my house in Springfield. So we hit the ground running and decided to get that done. I think that was in maybe October, and she had to report to work January 8th. So we had this little window. So we knew we would have to move Nikki down, move her down first thing, get her established, and I would come back and sell the house and getting the kids through the last part of school and be Mr. Mom for 6 months. But it necessitated that we be separated for 6 months. We had no idea what that was like. Since we met, we'd never been apart, probably 2 days. And that's when we got married. We were hardly ever apart. We see each other all the time, and we stay in contact all the time. So that was not an expected thing, but we knew that it would be a sacrifice that we'd have to make to get the prize of actually executing this relocation.
Okay. So recap that, because it's important, because I want you to hear the time frames of this as we discuss this as a part of the conversation. I want you to understand the dynamics as we step into the depth of this conversation. So plans to move, relocate out of the country.
Yeah.
That comes with its own measure of processing and dealing with that and learning about that and studying and research. And then to get a sudden shift change in where to somewhere else, that's a whole process, and to have to do that in a limited box time.
Yes.
So you do that in a limited box time, and then have to spend, if I remember correctly, 6 months.
Yes, 6 months.
6 months separated from your spouse during that transition, and you saw each other in person how many times in that 6 months?
Twice. Yeah,
okay.
Twice.
And you all have been married how long?
We've been married 3 years.
3 years, and you've been together. You've been apart 2 days at best in 3 years.
2 days at best. After we got married, we're never apart.
Okay.
Never.
So I want everybody to hear the time frames and the things here, and then you had to get it. You're at home covering responsibilities that typically you weren't solely responsible for.
Yeah, Mama, I had to take on Mama's role as well as my own, which I'm ill-equipped for. But Nikki, she's a teacher, so she's able to teach me how to conduct myself.
You manned up and tucked in. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So and then you made the transition. So in that transition, then it was getting everything packed up. You sold the house, I remember.
Yeah, sold the house.
So that's its own level of thing.
A house I had owned for 30 years. So imagine the accumulated life in 30 years.
So not just selling the house. decommissioning the house, getting the
Yes.
house shut down, and you had to do 6 months of that alone.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And then for those of y'all who missed the story on Saturday, in the transition of your pet got lost.
Yes. The handlers picked her up on June the 1st, and we were supposed to be reunited with her June the 3rd, and they called us on June 2nd and said they had lost our dog.
Okay. And
Yeah.
she was lost for how long?
For 40 days.
40 days.
Ended up being 40 days, yes.
Running around South
In the
Texas.
desert. Yeah.
In the desert.
On the border.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you spent a couple of times running back and forth there,
Yeah.
trying to find her,
Yeah.
dealing with the loss.
Passed three times to try to locate her.
Okay. So anybody listening, if you are not stressed out at this point, you have a better meditation doctor than David and I obviously have.
Oh man.
And I wanted to highlight those things before we got into the conversation, because there is somebody right now that just heard, well, it's just things happen. That's what they heard. You know, hey, some changes happen, you deal with them. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you told me this story, and then when I heard the full story on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go for a walk afterwards because I recognized the unrecognized stress in this storyline. And we're going somewhere with this because there's an issue that happened, there's a crisis that happened, you know, in the follow-up of you all moving, that I want them to understand the backstory of things that we miss. For those of you who've been watching us a while, you've heard me share before that 4 years ago, this past March, I had what was called a TIA, which was pretty much a mild stroke. And that was at age 46, almost 47. And I did not experience any of the typical symptoms. So the confusion, the loss of mobility, the disorientation. I didn't have any of those problems. I had a part of my body to go numb essentially for a minute or two. And I had been having a series of what later I would probably classify as symptoms or possible pre-stroke things that were happening in the 6 months prior to that. And I believe till today, because they checked my heart, they said my heart was fine, they said my brain looked good, you know, all of that. I seriously believe that stroke was stress induced. And it was through a series of new jobs, poor job situations prior and coming into my new job, unexpected changes, unexpected responsibilities, some physical pain that I was going through at the time that rose my blood pressure. It was a series of things that led to, I think, stress-induced stroke. You just heard Dave compact in 6-8 months, less than a year, you know, what some people are doing in far more time than they did it in. And you all get settled, you get straight, everything's ready, you're in Mazatlan, everybody's together, home's good, and what happens?
What happens when they told us that Minty was lost? Immediately, that just disrupted the whole joy of moving here. That we lost a family member, and we had planned on. You know, you had the whole rosy picture. We're all going to be here and be happy in Mexico and run on the beach and all that. But one of us is missing now. We've had her since she was a little puppy. So it's an integral part of our family is gone. The part of our day is gone. Just a big hunk. The heart of our family basically is torn out. So Nikki's really upset. She's taking it seriously as a loss of a child. And so I'm trying to console her and still plan on how we're going to get her back. But I'm internalizing everything. I'm not telling her what I'm going through. And I wasn't aware of how attached I was to this dog.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm, as a man, I'm saying I can't show my emotions. I can't yield to it. I can't break down. I got to keep it together because she is totally distraught. So I'm just going to be strong for her. This is not what she required me to do. This is what I chose to do. I want you to understand that. So I'm just keeping it all to myself. I'm like, I'm quietly crying and having my moments, but I'm not letting her know any of this, that I'm falling apart. So in the process of doing all this, I wasn't taking care of myself. And I wasn't being honest about the amount of stress I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as we got reports that where Minty was being sighted in a town called Eagle Pass, I started making plans to fly down there, the first trip to fly down and see if I could retrieve her. And in the process of doing all the travel plans, it was going to take a 15-hour flight to get to this little town, but not because it's so far away, but because there's no direct flights there.
Mm-hmm.
To do a whole bunch of Indiana Jones stuff to get there. If you're going to do it fast. And I didn't know about the fast way, but I bought my tickets, I made my plans, and I'm texting my friends here in Mazatlan to get me to the airport and helping facilitating this little rescue mission. And I'm texting my friend, and he's noticing that I'm not making any sense. And I told my wife, when I texted him, I kept rewriting that text. I rewrote that text probably over 30 times because when I read it back to myself, it wasn't making any sense. It made sense when I typed it, but when I read it, it was just all over the place. It was just garbled mess, gibberish. That's what my wife calls it, and it was gibberish. I read it today and was laughing at what I was texting. The thoughts were in my head. I couldn't make them even come out through my fingers. And I know at the time that I was speaking gibberish too. And so I'm on the phone with banks and the flight, the airlines and everything, and I'm just talking gibberish. And I'm like, why can't they get this together? I'm giving them the information. But I had a mini stroke.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew that something was off, but I couldn't really tell what it was. I really couldn't put a finger on it till my wife came home, and I told her I was getting ready to have my friend pick me up, and she was talking to me, and she goes, "Honey, you're not making any sense." And I would have probably dismissed that, but she never tells me it don't make sense. And so she goes, "You're not speaking English." I said, "Oh, I keep laughing in the Spanish." She goes, "No, you're not speaking Spanish either." But I didn't know how bad it was. And she goes, "You're not getting on a plane. You're not getting on a plane. Yeah, we're canceling that." So she canceled the flight. She called her doctor, and here they make house calls. So her doctor rushed over, and she took my vitals and everything. And she goes, "We have to get into a hospital right now."
Wow.
So she loads this in her car. I said, "No, I'm fine. Just give me some medicine." That's it. Of course, I'm just doing the guy thing. Give me a Band-Aid and some duct tape,
Yeah.
We'll tape that severed appendage back on and keep moving on. But I didn't want to go, and Nikki just insisted. She was, "Yeah, you're going." And so I didn't have a choice. They put me in the car, and I noticed as we were getting in the car that I was spatially challenged about just moving from the couch to the door to the car. I was having to really measure what I was doing. So I said, "Yeah, something other than her saying I didn't make sense. Something was seriously wrong." So they got me to the hospital. I was having a stroke. I was having an active stroke, and
well, I want to say first and foremost that I am really glad that you're better.
Yeah, me too.
That's a big deal. When Dee called me and said, I got a call from Nikki, David's sick. I think he had a stroke. I mean, that struck me hard.
Yeah.
Because you are a lively personality. And so and we take for granted that, again, I think a part of the message here is the internalizing of stress.
Yes. Yeah.
As men, we are taught early to suck it up,
Yeah.
to, we'll deal with it later. You power through. That's a part of sports. That's a part of employment. That's a part of, we're in a bad moment, and so crying, anger, confusion, frustration, they become inappropriate emotions to express, to address, because a part of it is we're in public, we're afraid of being classified as the angry black man, and so you kind of keep that under wraps, and then at home you don't want to be, I took that out on my family, or I don't want to be the controversial one, or I don't want to be the the one causing conflict here. Or I just want this to be over with, so I just shut up. I just want this anger to be, I'm just gonna be quiet. And what we don't realize is we are packing down stressors on a daily basis. We recognize that we're not getting along with the boss. It's an obvious stressor. But when our partner is in distress, we carry that. I specifically ask you to identify the time frame that you were apart, because I think something that I'm learning about myself as I'm getting older, that I think is under addressed or not addressed at all for men, is the energy of our loving partner. That absence can be a stressor to us. As men, we are physical beings. We are beings of energy. And I think that we were created that way. And when we bind with someone heart-wise and mentally wise, there's an energy connection there. That loss of that is a stressor. And so there's a series of compiling situations. I think, listening to your story, I think the situation with Minty was the straw, the last straw.
That's most definitely.
You and I spoke about making some choices, about being away from our spouses, and I heard in your voice, I heard in our conversation, that I'm wrapping this up because this needs to shut down because I need to be over there. And it wasn't and I appreciated the honesty of that, because that can often be seen as, oh, that's a needy man, or he's the dependent, or and I think that the truth of that is that we are created to codepend. And when we find the right person to codepend with, that absence can adjust us, can shift us, and then, like you said, we tend to see it's a dog, it's a dog, until something's going on with the dog, and then you realize, and we forget that dogs and men are historically, I mean, through time, canines and men,
we're teammates, we're pack mates.
Absolutely. And we do it even when we don't plan to, even when it's quote unquote not our dog.
It's a natural thing.
When I told you, when we adopted my sister and brother-in-law's dog, she ran out of the house the first week we had her. And I mean, I was completely emotionally, we because chasing her to get her back home, because she hadn't adjusted to us yet. And then the chase it took to get her, that was an emotional moment for me that I was unprepared for, that I did not expect. This wasn't even my dog. I hadn't even, attached to the dog like that. But the history of her in the family, because my sister had her since she was a puppy, and my kids had grown up with her when they visited with her. It wasn't just, man, this stupid dog. It was like, I had to take a break. And listening to you chase your loved one to find her, not a day, not a week. 40 days is a long
40
time.
days. Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't lost in the system. She was lost on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are people listening today. There are men listening today who are, I hope, trying to figure out, okay, so where am I internalizing undue stress? How do you, at this point, now that you've had this experience in your life, what are you looking at to reevaluate when you might be internalizing stress, even when you don't intend to?
Way more than we're aware of. And after you have the physical medical crisis, you start looking at the stuff that you should have said something about. So I just had to reevaluate a whole lot of things. One thing is, if I'm feeling doubt, she understands if I'm feeling doubt. If I tell her, she doesn't say I'm waiting. She doesn't say I'm not steady. She doesn't. That's me judging myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having moments where I'm like, how am I going to do this? She wants to know if I'm that's where I am right now. I'm coming up with a plan. She wants to be part of the plan. I tend to just get a plan and execute my side of it. And she goes, well, what did you do? I said, well, I did this. She goes, well, why don't you tell me that's what you're going to do? That's a good plan, but why don't you tell me? Because it's almost like having pride where I don't want to tell her what I'm planning on doing until I know it's going to work. Like the fear of failure in her eyes. And when she's like, that's just silly. And it is silly. So I can have a teammate, I can have a helpmeet, or I can have, I'm just telling her, this is what I decided to do, which is kind of a dumb thing, but that's kind of how we're taught. Just you make the decision, you fight the fights and all that. You don't tell her. I should tell her because she patches me up after the fights. So just being honest about, okay, I'm having misgivings of how I'm going to execute this. This is what I think I should do. And then, of course, she always had something to add to it. So it makes sense to tell her when I'm feeling, and it's okay to feel stressed about something. It's okay. It's natural. The damage comes in when you're feeling stressed about something on several fronts. So you're balancing several boiling pots of stress. So now it's going to be an overload. Now we need is one more pot to boil over, and then we're in crisis.
You said something that I've been sharing as well lately, and that's half the stressors we put on ourselves, nobody asks us to do.
No.
We take on responsibilities. I know that some of it is historical.
Yeah.
Men do this, or to not be seen as this kind of Black man, you have to do these things.
Yeah.
And often what happens then is we go above and beyond that process to be the standout husband, the standout partner, and often don't know when to draw the line between this needs to get done and I need a break. Conversation that we had with Aging Grateful some months ago was the conversation about men and sabbaticals, taking time off. Is this, do we feel we have the authority, the space, the acceptability to say, I need some time off from work. I need some time off from the family. I need to sit down. I need to, I can't take care of those things right now. I need to take care of me, because am I neglecting my family? Am I neglecting my responsibilities? Am I being lazy? And those questions, I've been trying to have more direct conversations with Dee about that as well. She's not in my ear, hounding me about this, that, and the other. I'm going, if I don't do this, then she'll do it herself. And I don't want her to have to do that herself. So I need to take care of it. I need to follow up on that. I need to make sure it's done. And sometimes you're creating tasks and chores that aren't even a part of the list. That theoretically it could be, hello, plumber, hello, electrician.
Yeah.
I got 5 on it. I need you to come fix it. rather than I'm going to invest all of my time and energy into something that, one, is not my skill, or I don't have the time for, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and then I'm running back and forth trying to find the way to fix it when that should probably not be my responsibility.
Right.
And we get caught in that crutch. Now, to be fair, whether we have a significant other or not, because gentlemen, there are single men who, as men, we're men.
We
and,
do it.
and you carrying on that stress somewhere in some format. I think one thing that's important to share is that you have someone to whom you can be accountable. Someone who can honestly come to you and say, I need you to sit down somewhere. I'm canceling your plans for the next day or so. I'm calling you on your bluff because you have overdone it. I can see your fatigue. I can see your stress. And that requires creating relationships that are intimate enough that, one, that person recognizes it, two, they can call you on it, and three, you can accept it. Because all of those have to be a part of making that work. And the conversation I had with Kevin, Melanin Man Travels, we talked about finding friendships. I mean, just where we're comfortable as men talking honestly with each other. And I think that is a lost piece. How are you working or to either maintain or establish extra support relationships for yourself?
Just finding people here in Mazatlan, believe it or not, who we have a lot in common. Finding people who have hobbies in common, or just even having a philosophy of life in common, of my same age, believe it or not. I have a friend I just met, and we clicked. I mean, we clicked immediately. And my wife had met this couple before, and she goes, one of my girlfriends, her husband is a lot like you, and I think you guys would get along. She introduced us, and I think that the spouses were laughing at us at the dinner table because we never stopped talking. We didn't take a breath, and we talked probably 3 hours just talking. And they said, yeah, I knew they would get along. Both of them, like, I knew they'd like each other, and we did. We hit it off. Forging relationships like that, and not being ashamed to say you need relationships like that. You need connect. The whole idea of iron sharpening iron, and also cushioning each other's faults if there's a problem. Having someone to talk it out with. Learning to talk to your spouse is one thing, but actually, two people or a men's forum where we're honest about what we're going through and things we're internalizing, and the danger of internalizing everything, that it's okay to struggle. To act like we're not struggling is insane. And it's not necessary. It's just wasted energy, and it could end up in a wasted life.
Struggle does not equal failure.
No.
And failure does not equal that you are a failure.
Yeah.
Failing something does not make you a failure. And struggling through something doesn't mean you failed at something. It just means that you're working your way through it. One of my ways for trying to be accountable is, ever since the stroke, there are medications that I have to take. And so I say to D, I'm taking my medicine. I'm taking my medicine because, and when I travel, I try to make sure that my medicine is on me. Because it'll get out of my sight, and then I'll be down the road a couple of days, and then
yeah. And that was in the hustle of getting the logistics necessary to move in such a short period of time and shut down 2 houses and move the children, get people out of school to graduation, and one of our children was transitioning into the military. So we're doing all this. All this is going on, and they're young women, so they're still going through young women things emotionally, and I'm sitting here trying to be intermediate, trying to mediate, and I'm feel ill-equipped for any of it. And then I'm also struggling to keep all the balls in the air. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm not being honest about missing my partner.
Mm-hmm.
The close of our day, the beginning of our day to the close of the day till we go. It's this whole thing we do, and we do it all the time, every day without fail. And now we, for 6 months now, haven't had that. She's thousands of miles away, and I
Why do
yeah.
you feel that you withheld that information? I mean, what was the end goal?
Well, it was the thing of having recognize having that there are real challenges to doing this, and not wanting to add to the list of things, and being the person. I'm not going to talk about my wounds. Let's talk about your wounds. Let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
your sore back from you carrying something uphill all day. Don't talk about mine. It's not necessary. So
Mm-hmm.
in doing that, you kind of fool yourself into thinking that you're okay, and you're really not okay.
Well, I think what we often do is yours is a struggle, mine is required.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kevin is saying here we've been socially conditioned to hide our struggles.
Cool pose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the cool pose. Yeah,
that's
I
right,
mean
brother.
it's
Amen.
just I'm supposed to be chill. I mean,
Yeah,
so I mean it is what it is. We did make it do what it do, baby.
yeah,
We throw all that around,
yeah.
and instead of saying I'm tired,
Hmm.
I'm angry, I'm stressed, I'm confused, I'm lonely,
Hmm.
uh, because all of those words sound dependent,
Yeah.
and
Sounds weak.
sounds weak.
Yeah,
Absolutely, dependency sounds weak, as we've been trained to believe,
yeah.
and I think sometimes there is often um, mixed message. That's the word I want to use. A mixed message from some
Hmm.
of the women in our lives. They want us
Hmm.
to be emotional, but they're not ready to deal with our level of emotion.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and all you have had to do is have that happen once in your life, and you
Hmm.
translate that to all of your further relationships.
Hmm.
Even when you have a partner who has been with you emotionally strong, who has
Hmm.
been emotionally supportive with you, there's a hair trigger response of somebody couldn't deal with it before. I'll never make somebody else deal with it again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Man, that's so true. Wow.
yeah, your number one has a. I've seen this video about the men frolicking through the. I mean, and it was, uh, if you go outside one day and you got time, go skipping. I never skipped. I never skipped as a kid.
Yeah.
That was never a
Yeah.
thing. But go skipping. Go bike riding.
Yeah.
Slide down the slide. Do stuff you typically would not do.
Something out
It
of sheer joy.
out of sheer joy, out of sheer foolishness, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how it shifts if you do it long enough to move past the embarrassing moment of it. That there's this, wow, that that was all right.
Hmm.
Um, and we have lost, I think, sometimes the element of fun, even
Hmm.
when we do things that we claim we have fun at.
Yeah.
Basketball has become business. You go
Right.
out to court, you got to grind. You got to, you got to be angry enough. You got to, instead of
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
And the loss of fun, the loss of joy,
Hmm.
uh, is, I believe, an open door to mounting stress.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, yeah, as men, we are naturally fixers. We stuff our stuff and focus on your stuff. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
We hide our emotions. It is both. I don't want you to be stressed out about me, but it also is a covert way to hide what we're feeling.
Yeah. It's
It,
easier.
it, it's easier to just, because I don't know how to explain it. I don't have the words for what I'm feeling. I don't have the I don't have the capacity to explain. That doesn't tell you anything. You know, oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
hear you say, I don't understand that. And then I'm standing
Mm-hmm.
here trying to explain something, and then I'm further frustrated. So let's not.
Right.
And heart disease,
Yeah.
stroke rates,
Yeah.
immunodeficiency diseases, susceptibility to cancers, diabetes, you know, you can go on and on.
Yeah.
You have created an avenue to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A direct path. Direct path.
You have created a direct path trying to make it okay. Being angry. I don't know if we, as Black men in particular, if we know how to be angry.
No.
Not that we don't get angry.
We don't know how to be angry.
We don't know how to be angry
Mm-hmm.
because nobody's going to understand it, or
Right.
nobody's going to accept it, or it's going to cause us some problems. You know, white men can be angry on TV. They can be angry throwing stuff at cops, and they're just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they were angry. You know, we stomp too hard, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
we're fighting the fear of being arrested, being assaulted, and I think a part
Incarcerated.
of, incarcerated, killed,
Yeah.
yeah, and a part of that is the need to build safe spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Safe spaces that say, I need to vent.
Yeah.
I need to cry.
Yeah.
I need to ask questions and not feel stupid asking questions.
Yeah.
How do we build? How do we build communities like that? What
Yeah.
is the path to that?
There is something that I don't know. I kind of experienced as I got older is I don't know who I am. I just know who I've been told to be.
Yes.
And so I don't know how to be me because I've avoided being me. I stuff it in a bag and drag it behind me till the
Mm-hmm.
bag. And when the bag breaks, then I'm either in the ground or in prison or on life support because
Yeah.
something's happened because I've just drug all that behind me and not dealing with it. It's easier to deal with someone else's problem and stuff mine in the bag for later.
And do you believe that we know not just we don't know how to be who we are? Do we know who we are?
No, we can't because we've been given a script and we have adhered to that script as hard as we can. We made it almost not by choice a religion for ourselves. This is how to be. We see it. We were taught it, whether it was verbal or not. We saw it, and we didn't know what was the source of that for the person that we're emulating. We didn't know that was unjust. They didn't have to be that way. They were required to be that way by force. You don't have to be that way, and you shouldn't be that way naturally. There's a way to live, and until you get older and you have a crisis, you don't consider there's got to be a better way to be me,
Mm-hmm.
to deal with how I deal. I deal with things in ways that aren't healthy, and I know I got to change that. And you have a wife who's trying to tell you that, but nah, that's one thing, but this is the way it is. But it's not necessarily true. There is another way, and the same strength that we have, the same content and character that we have, that we implement the negative things, we can find healthy things to do.
Mm-hmm.
We can take that all that energy and turn it around into something that's going to give us better lives and better experiences and better health.
We have a whole swath of men who you got this young group of men who are in these jobs. They're trying to get themselves set in the world. They're trying to
Yeah.
get established. And so, they're young, they got energy, they got breath. So they don't realize they're working 16, 18-hour days, 6-7 days a week. They're doing what they need to do to plug in. On the far side, on the far side, you got these older gentlemen that are working well past, time they should be giving to somebody else. Not necessarily their ability to work, but time they should be giving to somebody else. And they're at the, well, I've been here this far, I might as well stay.
That stage.
And then you got, I guess, those of us like myself in the middle who are, do I want to do this anymore? What is it I really want to do? How am I at this age still trying to figure out what else I should be doing in my life? So you got these three extreme facets of life, none of which seem to have a peak of, here's a place I can get out. Here's a place where I can move forward. And often these three groups of men aren't connected to each other.
No.
They're living those developmental stages completely separate from one another. There's no mentoring and there's no youth hope. I always say, if I'm older, don't put me in a senior facility, because I want to be somewhere where there's still some kids and some young people. And, it's not that I don't want to be around people, in my age group, but that's not the whole world. You know what I'm saying? I don't, I want to be in a diverse community, and these groups of men aren't connecting and engaging. So there's no youthful strength being drawn from the young, and there's no wisdom being drawn from the seniors. And so we're floundering, and we flounder from one phase to another. I did this for 25 years, and now I'm tired. But if I start doing something else, everybody's going to be confused because I started something else, or they're going to be frustrated because I'm trying to start over, and so I hold on, and now I'm here, and I spent another 25 years, and I've been doing it 50 years, and oh my God, I can't believe I'm still here, and I quit, and then a year later I'm dead. And it used to be this group over here, this older group that we're worried about. There's young guys over here that are now in health crisis. So by the time they get to this middle group, they're dying.
Yeah.
They're not making it over there anymore.
Right.
And we are balling up something inside of us that is fighting to make its way out. And our internal selves are not designed to be strong enough to maintain it. You put pressure in a bottle, it has to release itself. It's going to blow. If that pressure keeps building, it's not going to just sit and then it's gotten so much pressure and it stops. If it keeps building, it's going to blow. It's going to blow, like you said. And I either made a mistake and now I'm having to pay for it, or I just killed myself. I'm not sure, if I'm honest, that I know how to, speaking for myself, how to make the connection, how to find the exit strategy, hit the stop button on the ride. I don't.
Yeah, I think in identifying the things you're doing, almost like do a pro and con list. That the things that I do that have produced positive results or peace of mind, and the things that make me clench up and stress. So what are those things? Is it how I'm approaching them, or should I be doing them? Just evaluating the things in your life and saying, has this proven positive? Is it just a pet project that makes me feel like I have purpose, but it's stressing out at me? Is it causing poor eating choices? It's just this whole cascade of things. If we find the one thing that's triggering all the other stuff. There's a thing in there that's unhealthy, but we've been told to do it. Being told, it's not the easiest thing to identify, but who told you what your goal is? Who gave you the goal? Who told you what a value is, that you should have this particular thing, or you're not somebody yet? The thing we're striving for every day, why are we moving toward that goal? Do we know the origin of that goal? Is it even a worthy goal, worthy of our skill set and intellect?
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent setup. Because again, I think it ties into the, you know, are we following a ritual either established for us well before we got here or that we've established for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
I currently do some work in a setting where I move packages. I purposefully separate myself outside the building to establish my work ethic so that I am energy safe. So I'm energy safe from the inside of the building and
Mm-hmm.
all of the heavy, potentially negative emotions inside the building.
Yeah.
But what I'm recognizing is how I feel about the work still makes a negative emotion space because it's not my heart goal.
Yeah.
And one of my closest friend, just at 50, graduated with his doctorate in pharmacy. He's been an ad exec, high paid ad exec for years. He went to school to be a lawyer. I mean, and at 50, he said, yeah, I'm going to now do what I really wanted to do. And I'm recognizing that it's never too late has to be a motto.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be if this is my time, then this is my time.
Mm-hmm.
And putting in the effort, especially when you have a support system that stands behind you. Stop neglecting your support system, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Be it a partner or friend. There are often people standing behind you saying, man, go, do, think. I had a job several years ago. They used to tell us to stop creating obstacles. You know, it was foolishness at that job, but I think the concept for men is a viable statement. Why are you standing in your own way?
Yeah.
Kevin said we need to take many breaks and not feel bad about that.
Right. It's okay.
Homemade is saying, you know, healing is a real flex, and that's for sure. I don't think we can have one of these conversations without me iterating what I always iterate. Therapy is valuable.
Yeah.
Take time to have someone with whom you say, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to, in sharing with your partner the honesty of your life, you still have to balance not turning your energy stressor into their life.
Yeah.
Okay. There are release pressure valves that you have with your accountability partner, be it a spouse, a loved one, or a friend, but also have someone with whom you professionally hold conversations, who knows how to help you learn how to divert those stressors in your life.
Right.
Appropriately, to appropriately show you which valves to trigger to set the kettle off. I don't know if you probably could not have changed the dynamics of what was happening in that move. But as you said, you could have had different conversations about where you were and what you were experiencing in the process.
Yeah, there are self-imposed negativities that I had a choice in, but because of the way I've always done things, it got to a point. It was a breaking point. It was an unsustainable model, actually. If I was to write it down as a say a flow chart, logic gate, it wouldn't work. It'd be in just a detrimental loop that was eventually going to break. But the habits you learn might not be healthy, but you keep them. But this was something that was moving to pretty much a paradise. Should have been just a happy endeavor altogether, but I turned it into just something horrible that I couldn't, in hindsight, there's better ways to have addressed some of the issues. It was, and I just trying to be tough and not tell my wife that I'm freaking out too. But I felt it's my duty not to tell her I'm missing this dog. But this is my partner. When someone's at the door, we're both going to the door. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to share that, and plus it was some real stresses on both of us with what we were doing and being the part that we were like, wow, we didn't know it's going to be this horrible. We kind of expected it would, but we didn't want to confess it and say it was going to be horrible being a part like that, because we just don't do it.
Right.
And at this point in my life, there's no I don't make any false claims about it. I love being with my wife. I depend on I depend on bringing her coffee in the morning and cutting up fruit for her at night. That's all part of my therapy. Missing that and having the added stress of all the things on the do list, and then losing a family member like that. Oh man, just wasn't being honest about it. And yeah, it's time to put that stuff down and be honest. Are you struggling? It's okay, because we struggle, but we don't quit. Quit's not in us. But we don't allow ourselves to struggle. I don't know what that is, where I'm ashamed to say I'm struggling. Did you sit down and lay down in the dirt? No, you didn't. You're struggling, but you're still moving. There's valor and value in that we don't quit. It's okay to struggle. We're going to have that. There's going to be something that's going to challenge you. That's how we grow stronger, Yeah.
But we don't have to drag the brick around, the boulder around.
Tell anybody about it, like, man. And then say, oh man, there's a better way to do it. Put wheels on your cart. Don't drag it, Sometimes it's a little piece of advice. Just because you tell a buddy something, it's a little piece of advice. Oh man, here's how you do that.
Change your whole world.
Y'all had the aha moment. Like, really? Dang.
Yeah.
On that 5 miles ago.
Yeah.
How novel.
Yeah.
But it's
it's usually something a little, like you said, it's usually something so little that you just kind of go, huh. Yeah. It's just like, it's not even an aha moment. It's like, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, right. But you didn't share it. Somehow we've been taught that there's not a value in accumulated knowledge. All our knowledge is separated and compromised. I don't share what I know. Because either I don't want to seem like I know everything. I don't want to think I'm giving you advice because I think I'm smarter than you. But we don't ask, and sometimes we just don't tell either. It's a weird thing said, but it's not by our own design. That's the thing. But it's our job to undo it. Let's identify these things and let's fix them.
Absolutely, man. As always, I appreciate the honest, direct story. And again, I am really glad that we got you on this side of that event.
Yeah, me too.
These honest conversations are always great for me. I mean, I hope and desire that they are great for other people, but they're always hope for me, because it's sometimes just a reminder that, one, you're not doing this alone.
Yeah.
You're not the only person who has these challenges in your life, who bumps your head the way we do, who has these fall downs, and unfortunately, sometimes it takes a crisis to slap us upside the head. Hopefully we help somebody else prevent a crisis in the future. So I appreciate your transparent story today, for sharing. Again, for you all who like to hear deeper parts of this story, in the description is our conversation from this past weekend, as well as the other conversations that we've had with David and his wife, Nikki, about their move. And you can hear the progression of their story over those interviews. Gentlemen, take care of your health.
Yeah.
Okay. And that sounds so basic, but going to bed at night, exercising, those are great ways to improve your health. But there is a necessity in communicating your inner self to someone of value to you. If it's not a partner, it needs to be to a counselor or a therapist. Because if you don't have that release valve, that pressure is going to build up, and you will be the person who pays for it. And we desire for a beautiful, peaceful, long life for each of you. As long as you are deemed in the universe to be here, we want you to be here. Culture of our country, but also culture as men, even around the world. You've seen the stories, men falling on their swords, going to battle alone, fighting the dragon. Yeah, just time out for all of that. Okay. If it's time to pick up your sword, pick up your sword, but don't do it just because you feel you have to, when there's not even a fight that's being waged.
Right.
Okay? Yes, Kevin, journaling, write it down, push it out. Whatever is necessary, meditation. I'm starting listening in my headphones at night to meditative sounds and meditative voices and rain sounds and things that separate me from, allow me to separate myself from the day. Stop watching TV until you go to bed.
Yeah.
Those action videos into bed, those horror thriller, psychologically stressfully inducing shows into bed, you carry that to bed with you. They follow you. If you cutting the grass, cut grass with your beats in your ear. Make your work a time of joy and pleasure. Turn those things into joy. Take your lady out, go to the park, have a picnic. Do the things, bro. And regain your youthful self, and find some people with whom you can build community.
Absolutely.
On both sides of the spectrum, not just in your little world, not just in your little box, not just in your age group. Stretch yourselves in several directions, because we all have something to share with each other. Once again, I'm Herman. It's H&D Abroad. Our friend David, please go to their channel. It's in the description, and subscribe to their channel. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Kevin, it's good to see you here in the conversation as always. Ladies, always here. Please share this video. Like, share. And don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.